Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to do our Week 15 college football predictions, aka Conference Championship Weekend. And this week is pretty important for some teams. Well, for other games, there's not much riding on it. But yeah, I'm kind of underwhelmed with the slate of conference championship games we're going to have. But despite that, I do think chaos can ensue, especially if certain games go a different direction. But before we talk about the games themselves, let's talk about the playoff picture and where we stand. So first up, we have teams that are likely going to make the playoffs, regardless of what happened. We have Notre Dame, Texas Tech, Georgia, Oregon, Ohio State, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Indiana, Ole Miss. I think those teams are pretty safe, regardless of what happens this weekend. Next, we have is the one-shot crew, and that is the ACC winner, Tulane, North Texas, and James Madison. Because for Virginia and Duke, it's either win or go home, and the rest are just group of five schools trying to get in. All this to be first round exits. And the last I see is up to fate. And this is the school that they're gonna need some help to get in. Although you can kind of rule out Vanderbilt and Texas because right according to the playoff ranking, they're way outside looking in. Alabama, if they were to lose to Georgia, I think it's going to come down to a discussion. BYU, if they lose to Texas A&M, Texas Tech embarrassingly, I think that's going to come down to a discussion, and that could possibly open up the door for Miami to get to sneak in. So Miami fans, they feel like it's the end of the world, but and honestly, they need some. They do need while they do need some help. If Bama and or BYU loses, it's not the end of the world. But before we get to the college football, the real meat of this video, let's breeze through these other games and predictions. Starting off with Kennesaw State taking on Jacksonville State Gamecocks. This is Conference USA title game. And I'm going to roll with Jacksonville State to win this game. Next, we have the Troy Trojans taking on James Madison, the Dukes. And this is be the Sun Belt Conference Championship game. And looking at that spread, yeah, I feel like this is the easy gimme pick we have. I'm rolling with James Madison to win easily. And then we have a big matchup. North Texas taking on Tulane. And this is the American Athletic Conference title game where both of these teams are in the top 25 playoff ranking, to my knowledge. And I feel like whoever wins this game, I feel like if Tulane wins, they're in the playoffs. But if North Texas wins, or if North Texas wins, and assuming James Madison wins, it's going to come down to a discussion. And even though North Texas is favored in this one, I'm going to go ahead and pick Tulane in this game. Am I confident in this pick? Absolutely not. And then we have UNLV taking on Boise State.
Again? Again.
And this is, yes, this is a rematch of last year's game, but this time the stakes are a lot less meaningless. And because the stakes aren't that high like it was last year, I'm thinking Boise State will definitely win this one. Now we're getting on to the good stuff. We have BYU and Texas Tech in the Big 12 title game. BYU last week got a win over UCF, and Texas Tech dominated West Virginia. And people, I think I said this last week, and I'll say it again. People aren't paying attention to Texas Tech. If you've seen their last four games, they have been lopsided. And I feel like Texas Tech, they're they're already in the playoffs. They're not only playing for the Big 12 title, they're playing for one of those bye weeks. And I think they are in great position to get in that. Hopefully BYU keeps this game semi-close. I'm going to slightly lean towards Texas Tech to win. And you know what? I'm kind of confident they'll get the job done. Then we have Miami of Ohio Redhawks taking on the Western Michigan Broncos. This is the MAC Conference Championship. And going back and forth with this one. And I know this is actually a neutral site game in Detroit. I'm actually going to pick Miami to win, just to shake things up. And then we have Georgia Bulldogs taking on the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Again?
Again.
Georgia getting it wasn't a pretty win over Georgia Tech, but they got it done in the same building, might I add. Meanwhile, Alabama, despite an ineffective Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard, Isaiah Horton getting a hat trick, scoring 3 touchdowns against their in-state rival Auburn. And these two teams have played each other already. Last time we saw them, Alabama ended Georgia's home winning streak of Georgia. In this go round, look, what else do you want me to say? It's going to be the same thing, different, same game, same script, different game. I'm picking Alabama to win because they always find a way to beat Georgia. Now, do I think Georgia can win? Yes, but the narratives. Then we have the oh so important yet trash ACC title game between the Duke Blue Devils and the Virginia Cavaliers. Duke, I honestly don't know how they got into this position. 3 non-conference losses on the season, which included Illinois, UConn, and Tulane of all schools. But yet, because the conference was so terrible, they were able to do just enough in conference play to get in this position. They'll be taking on the Virginia Cavaliers, who also lost 2 conference games. However, one of those conference games, which was NC State, was classified as a non-conference game. So they really only lost 1 conference game on the year. That was to Wake Forest. And last week, they was able to take care of business over Virginia Tech. These two teams also seen each other, where Virginia blew out Duke in Duke. Now, this game, I think, is going to be a little different. Keyword, a little. I think Duke will come out ready to play. But I do think there's like a tier level between them and Virginia. I'm going to roll with the Cavaliers to win. Chaos will be prevented. For now, at least. And last but not least, this would be the game of the week if I given that tag. But it's number 2 Indiana, number 1 Ohio State. Yet game day is choosing not to go to this one because of a network contract. And both of these schools took care of business against their rivals, against Purdue and Michigan respectively. But this is the game everyone's been waiting for. But sadly, this is not going to have a lot of meaning. Because if Indiana wins, I think they'll get the number 1 seed. And if Ohio State loses, they'll probably still get a bye week at worst, and I think the same will go vice versa. So not much is gonna matter in this game really. And honestly, even though Indiana, they have a good season, I think no one is standing up to Ohio State this year. Their defense, fantastic. Offense, finally getting things together. Ohio State, I think they're just they're like a tier above almost everybody else. Well, when the playoffs, we'll see how true that statement really is. And on that note, that concludes Week 15 college football predictions. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Gamble safely, and I'll see you next time.